Thank you.
for the great help that you've all given to Temple Bethel of Rockaway Park. And I'm happy to tell you some of the things that come into my mind, and I'm sure into the minds of all the Rockawayites. We're a very proud congregation of people. I've been here in my congregation for 44 years. And this devastation is one that I've never experienced before. And I began to think about it as I looked on the streets, of the Rockaways, and I began to realize, as I looked at the toys, at the keepsakes, at the furniture, at the appliances and such, growing into mountains of refuse, I began to realize that all of our personal lives, since the time that we were children, has been cast into the gutters of the Rockaways. And that's terrible, because people think, well, your basement is filled with water. Okay, you'll drain out the water, you'll get new equipment and things. But people don't realize what the basement means to people. It's the place that's the house, the treasure house of all your keepsakes, all your life. As I thought of the things that I lost, I realized that my wife's Passover, all of her Passover supplies, which she had created over the past close to 50 years, she's gone now 2 years, have all been destroyed. No more Passover. Where do we have Passover? What do we do about Passover? Then I thought of the clothing that disappeared, that you keep in the basement, all your winter garments and your coats and your things. And my wife was a collector, and she collected all of her beautiful gowns. She was a beautiful woman, and she collected her gowns. She wanted to give her children, her grandchildren especially, all of these beautiful gowns to play with, or to use, or to remember certain occasions. They're all gone. I have a penchant for writing up all of my sermons. I've been a rabbi ordained 55 years ago. And you do the math, as I mentioned before, as to how old I might be. And I collected all my sermons, and I wrote them out, and they were there in the basement, in the filing cabinet. All are gone. 55 years of sermons. Not that my sermons were any different. Not that my sermons were any different than any other rabbi's sermons, but I thought that I might, before my end came, I'd be able to produce another 2 books. I edited one book on alcoholism in the Jewish community, and another book of sermons representing the first 20 years in the congregation. It was called Idols of the Heart. And I thought perhaps before my end came, I'd have another 2 books of sermons. That's all. And then I thought of the other things that were there in the basement, in my basement, and the basements of the people that are here. We keep our photographs, all the photographs of our lives as children, our children's lives, community events and the such. They're all there, all these photographs. The memories of an individual, the personal life of an individual, for myself and for everybody in the Rockaways who lost their homes, who lost their keepsakes, who lost their treasures. They're all gone, cast into the rubbish, cast into the gutters of Rockaway. So this in itself is a tragedy. I'm also very sorry for the people, the 4 people that I know of in my own neighborhood who died because of the tremendous force of the ocean surge. And they were killed. Some were very young. Others had stayed on in the community and didn't evacuate. There were those who thought that they could fight the elements, and the elements were too strong for them. So all of these are our tragedies. And as I walk around, all the beautiful people coming from New York and everywhere who answered the call for help, I look around at them and how they help. I realize, well, at least one good thing came out of this terrible tragedy, and that is the fact that we have people who love us, or who help us, who are there for us in times of difficulties. God bless them, and may none of us see tragedies or difficulties or problems such as this for many, many, many years.
Did you evacuate yourself during the storm?
Well, I vowed a number of years ago, when I saw people deciding to stay during storms here in the Rockaways and never having it really fulfilled, but I thought to myself that as a rabbi of so many years, I'm 44 years here in Temple Bethel, that when someone says it's time to leave, that you leave. I'm a student of history, and I know that in the 30s they told the wonderful, beautiful German Jewish community, it's time to leave. Get out now while you still can. So I vowed to myself, if they tell me to leave, I'm going to go. And I did go. I evacuated. Some of my members stayed here, and they said they thought they were going to die. Each person had their own terrible story to tell. How they stayed in the house, and the walls broke through the torrential ocean. The waves broke through a wall, and the water came in on three sides, and they dashed over to the staircase. Had they not been on the staircase, they would have drowned in their own house. Over and over again, you hear these horror stories. And so I figured that when they tell you to go, it's time to go. And I evacuated a day before.
Now, for people who are not ever going to be inside your synagogue here after the storm, when you first came back, could you just describe what it looked like when you first saw it and what's been lost?
We were all very busy, and that's the problem. Nobody can concentrate on the needs of congregations because they're busy with themselves and their own homes and their own difficulties. And we were all very, very busy. I looked in once inside the building to see, and I didn't see too much of it. And I left right away, and we arranged to have somebody come in to clear it out. Today, the same time that you volunteers have come, is the time that I really took a look at the downstairs. And the downstairs was the first part of the building that we had built in 1921. We met there for our services, for our functions and with such. It was only later on that we were able to build a magnificent edifice above it. So the ballroom was a place that which the children meet now, and that basement we call it the ballroom. And the children meet there for their schooling. The small congregation that meets daily for morning and evening services meets there also. I looked in, and for the second time, but this time more than just a cursory glance, and I thought to myself, my God, this is a terrible devastation. This is awful. And then, of course, all of you people came. You've been working for hours and hours to clean it. That's how bad it looked, and that's how terrible it was. But I have hope. I have hope. I have hope, and I have appreciation of people that help us and humankind and what we're doing. And as I look around, just glance around, this one is carrying a bag of things, another one is carrying something else. And I see what's going on. I have Jeremiah the prophet once said after the destruction of the city of Jerusalem thousands of years ago, he said one phrase which we recite every high holiday when we read his portion from the Bible, and that's just three words: Yesh tikva la'acharitei. There is hope for your future. And as I look around and I see the people, I know that the Torahs come, Torahs go, Torahs are destroyed, and it's not the Torah that will replace each of the Torahs that we have, but it's the people that hold the Torah that really count. And Yesh tikva la'acharitei means we have hope for the future through all of the wonderful people that surround us.
Two more quick questions. When you mentioned the Torahs, I think a lot of people would like to know how many Torahs you had here and how many have survived and how many...
We're an old congregation, and we have 15 Torahs. We now have only 13 Torahs. The 15 Torahs were up in the main sanctuary, and the 2 Torahs that are really used each and every day, actually 3 times a week or twice a week, but those Torahs downstairs, they're the ones that were ruined. And as I think of the Torahs, I'm very, very sentimental about them. One Torah was given to us by the Jewish war veterans. Today is Veterans Day, and I think of the tremendous sacrifices that were made by young people of their lives and the such, and their families and the such, to go out to war in both wars, in the First World War and the Second World War, because we're an older congregation. And I think of that Torah which was given to us by the Jewish war veterans. I think of the loss to us because of the fact that while you had the Torah, they remained and they were immortal. And now the Torah is gone. We'll replace it. We'll get another Torah. One of the congregations who sent people here to us has already said that they will work on a campaign to provide one Torah for us. And I'm sure we will get another Torah too. We have a tremendous amount of work to be done here to return to services. We can't hold services. We can't hold classes. We can't do anything now for God knows how long, maybe a couple of months. But we'll survive. Yesh tikva la'achariteh.
My final question is just for you as a rabbi, and you've been here for so long. How do you see your job now going forward? Not just the physical structure here of the synagogue, but does this shift for you what your congregants need and how you...
Well, I see it really as my last hurrah. And so I've decided that I would be more than just a rabbi, but try to encourage people to write to them. I've sent out emails to those who have given me my email list. I've tried to encourage people. We have a lot of older people, and this is very, very depressing for them. When you're older, you don't like change too much. You're afraid of change. You know where your bedroom is, you know where your bathroom is, you know where your kitchen is, and the such. But this means a tremendous change, and these people have to be encouraged to meet the challenge and to meet it well and decisively. And with love, and the love that we've received from so many, we will do just that. Thank you very much.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that I didn't ask you about?
Not really right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Right.